Do you ever think about how daunting starting something is? It's been on my mind as of late since, well, I have this YouTube channel, and I'm finally releasing my work as a web novel once more. I've been reading many more web novels lately, and it reminds me how valid Noah Lukeman's The First Pages is with this statement about readers. They've secretly made up their mind by page 5, and 99% of the time, they're not going to change it. I see a lot of openings which fail to reach my standards, and it has me often wondering if people know one of the best tricks to opening a story. It's a trick I picked up from How to Write a Damn Good Novel 2 and embraced in my own novel. I can't speak for the quality of my own writing, I'll post a link in the description if you wish to judge for yourself, but I can say I've experienced how effective the trick is. I have a few examples of it, though first, let's get to the lesson. In this book, James Frey explains that a storyteller wants to transport the audience to a story's world as swiftly as they can, to induce a fictive dream. To do this, a character must first be sympathetic. Sympathy isn't a matter of how admirable or likable a character is. It's a matter of us feeling sorry for them. Sympathy is the doorway to the audience gaining access to the story. Matt Bird's Secrets of Character delves more well into this. In the section on stuff which makes us care for characters, he notes ways we can hurt them. These ways can be broken down into 5 types of pain: suffering, lack, embarrassment, humiliation, and worry. While she's introduced in the second chapter, the character I love to point to for tips on writing suffering is Yor Briar, aka Yor Forger in Spy Family. We're set up to sympathize with her right out the gate, with her lack of social awareness shown. This leads to her being mocked by her co-workers, with her lack of romantic relationships at her age being targeted. After it being made clear how much she doesn't care about having a relationship or discussing the matter, and finds it frustrating, she's roped into a dinner party where she's expected to bring a date. The person in question set Yor up to fail, and with that, we're instantly on her side and invested in her. Yor is also a perfect example of a character not having to be admirable. We see this in the following scenes. We return to her home, which is quite bare, and get to see her talking with her little brother Yori. He pushes the same stuff as the co-workers, wanting her to find someone, which she finds embarrassing and nerve-wracking. His reasons for it are far more benevolent than her catty co-workers. He owes his current success to her taking care of them as kids and wants her to be happy. Still, it doesn't make her any less nervous, and prompts her to lie about having a boyfriend. She tries to get around the issue with lying, but Yori says he'll get his neighbor, who will also be at the party, to give him an update about how things go with her boyfriend, since he wants to protect his sister. Her fear of being caught in a lie further increases our dread for her, but more importantly, it establishes what next for inducing the fictive dream: identification. Sympathy helps us feel for someone's plight. We can feel for your situation, with her being pressured to get in a romantic relationship, but held back by her lack of social acumen. I imagine this is something many can relate to. It alone doesn't make us root for someone though. This is where identification comes into play. Identification is when we support a character's goals or aspirations. To do this, we simply need to give the character a noble goal. Give them a reason for this goal, which is for the sake of somebody else. Yor's goal is to find somebody for the party, so her brother can relax and accept promotion at work since he won't be worried about her. We see Yor's more darker side in the scene which follows, which is part of the whole thing about her being an assassin. We don't see the fight, though it's not necessary given the aftermath. Besides, the emphasis lies with her social suffering, as her dress was ripped during the killing spree. It was her only nice dress, and she needed it for the party. And it adds more to Yor's self-degrading thoughts, with us seeing her lack of confidence in socializing again, and how aware of her own social feelings she is. While I may not be an assassin, I can relate to this feeling. Finding the emotions we all share in some level or another, and connecting the audience to that is key to creating investment in a character. At this point, I was all in and rooting for her to get a date and ease her brother's worries. The effectiveness of this technique has hit me a lot lately. I can see it all over. A good example, I have a friend who writes a fun web novel I recommend called Villainous Retry. By applying this, I realized how great this moment, at the start of chapter 2, would be as the opening sentence to the entire story. The walk down the central hallway of Marina House felt like a convict's path to the gallows, as Janet passed by several former acquaintances and friends, all of whom gave her a wide berth and whispered amongst their bevy of cliques. Of course, their story is still 100% worth the read without starting here. This is just my thoughts using this technique. I notice my emotions get snagged instantly by this situation, and I worry for Janet, who is clearly a social outcast for some reason. I can relate to feeling like this, so I sympathize and bought more into it. Now, not every character can be introduced suffering. If you look at my work, while I start with suffering, I don't start with my actual protagonist suffering. It wouldn't work for her. This leads to the second tip I learned on sympathizing and identifying. Create a sympathetic character who has a noble goal who ends up linked to the protagonist. The investment the audience feels for them transfers to the lead who are helping. My favorite example for this is shows like Burn Notice or Leverage, shows which have a Whoopee of the Week for the hero to help. I think this approach was called the Traveling Angel or something. I need to find a book which contains it. Anyway, someone with a problem with a protagonist helps can work too. Of course, there are other ways and things you can do with an opening. I've discussed a lot about openings in my Spy Family videos recently, so I recommend going back and seeing those.